So how do we get things turned around? Or do we get things turned around? I want to ask Rob Luna. He's the CEO of SureVest, a CI financial company, Kingsview Wealth Management CIO Scott Martin, and Drexion Investments Managing Director Sylvia Jablonski. Sylvia, let me start with you. Your thoughts in general about this month. It's a tough month. The last 2 days we've seen some signs of life, but when can we expect a turnaround?
So September is historically sort of this ho-hum sort of month, and it's really keeping up with that reputation. I think, look, we were about 10% off of July and August highs, and I think you had a lot of investors that took some gains off of the table and sort of sat back. And then, earlier this summer, we talked about hopes for a vaccine coming out quickly. We talked about an expected stimulus to come quickly, additional fiscal stimulus to come quickly. Things with China were sort of unrest. But we still talked about going through the phase 1 and phase 2 trade deals and some stability there. And I think now all of that sort of flipped around. So it's a combination of a real reason to take some gains off of the table and then uncertainty coming back into the market, upcoming an election as well.
Scott, all of these sort of reasons have kind of been lurking out there. I mean, we've had a trade war with China for 3.5 years. And the COVID thing, initially we were told it was going to take a long time. So the countdown on that, I'm not sure exactly what's 100% different other than the fact that the fiscal stimulus did not happen. I think Wall Street assumed in August when they were bidding up this market to record highs that it was going to happen. And it's more of a sobering thought that maybe indeed Congress could blow it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, to your list, Charles, I would add the catfighting going on in Congress. I mean, every month there seems to be problems between the Democrats and Republicans. So there, too, I think that was putting the markets a bit at some risk. And what's interesting to me nowadays, I guess, as we finish up September, which historically, yes, is a rough month for positive stock prices, it seems like investors kind of forgot that the markets do go down sometimes. I mean, when we had tech overshooting to the upside, Amazon, Apple, Adobe, Microsoft, all stuff that we own, Charles, up 30, 40, 60% in some cases. It was good to see that stuff pull back. In fact, considering that tech kind of became a defensive sector over the course of the summer is another sobering fact to where the markets kind of needed to go, I think. And they're starting to get there, and so we're starting to add to those positions. But you know as well as I do, my friend, I'm still keeping my eye out and keeping my powder dry and adding to stuff like leisure, hospitality, restaurants, and travel.
Okay.
Because I think as we get closer to the vaccine, that stuff's going to come back hard.
I'm going to circle back and get some specifics for you, and I owe you a shout out. In the meantime, Rob, when the market's up, all the experts who missed the rally, by the way, always say, well, there's no alternative, right? The old Tina thing. And yet billions of dollars keep flowing out of the stock market into the bond market. Some of it went into gold. So what do you make of the idea that where are the buyers going to materialize from? According to the American Association of Individual Investors, 24.6% of investors are bullish. I mean, so where does the money even come from for the next leg higher?
Yeah, I mean, well, that bullish indicator, Charles, in our view, has been a really good contrarian indicator. We actually saw those numbers drop back before the big rally in August. So that really doesn't mean too much to us. I think a lot of people get scared about that. But I mean, look, this second stimulus plan is really what the market needs. So to Scott's point, I think there was an upgrade today on some of the cruise stocks. You really need that to get things going. But I've been saying it all along, Charles. You have to stick with the big technology names because it's been the same playbook over and over. You look at a name like today, look at Zooms, look at Facebook, look at Amazon, and look at in this new COVID world, everything is running through those three companies, Charles. Those are the names that you got to stick with.
Earlier in the week, it was my opinion, actually going back to last Wednesday at 2:35. That the market was trying to send a signal, actually force the hand of the federal government, Congress, and the Federal Reserve. Sylvia, you talk about a fiscal package, but how important is it that Wall Street believes that the Fed can and will come through with additional accommodation?
I think the Fed will come through, and the Fed has more or less said it and continued to support the markets over the past few months and going forward.
How will they do it? How will they do it, Sylvia? How will it look? Will it be curve controls, yield controls rather? Will it be negative rates? I think Wall Street's confused on how they're going to make this next round of accommodation.
I think they're going to reopen up their balance sheet and do some more purchasing for the next couple of months, which they sort of stalled on for the few months prior. So that'll probably put some sort of floor on the market. I think they keep rates probably where they are. I wouldn't expect to see negative rates anytime soon. But I do think that the expectation or hope for the additional fiscal policy is there. Otherwise, I think we just sort of take a little bit longer to recover with the Fed remaining dovish and supporting the market with repurchases in the near term.
Sylvia, where do you think investors should be focused now? If they want to buy this weakness, where should they be looking?
Yeah, so I think it's actually a great shopping opportunity right now. I'm thinking about 2021. Here we are in 2020, and names like Apple, Microsoft, you started off the top of the segment talking about Amazon, have fallen back in these recent weeks. And I just don't see the tailwinds behind those names really changing. There's going to be this sort of hybrid work from home type of scenario going on. You have growth in cloud, growth in cybersecurity, the Zooms, the communications, everything that connects the consumer and supports work from home. But tech and semiconductors this week are on sale. So, if you have FOMO, now's a good time to add those to your shopping list.
I hear you. Hey, by the way, about an hour before the show started, breaking news, Florida announced that businesses and restaurants can open 100%. In fact, they're not even going to fine anymore for masks. You couple that with the fact that it was Barclays that got bullish on the cruise lines this morning. I mean, the reopening trade is hot. I want to go to you, Scott, because you have been talking about this. Right now, the top winners in the market, Norwegian Cruise Line, Carnival Cruise Line, Royal Caribbean, MGM, Hilton, Las Vegas Sands. These are the reopening trades, and I'm going to give you that shout-out I owe you. Darden Restaurants was the #1 stock on Wednesday. Last time you were on the show, you told people to buy it. You still like this reopening trade?
I do. I mean, Darden's been a really tasty one for us, Charles, the last several weeks, just because, look, these names got absolutely punked. They got completely destroyed, like the country was never going to reopen again, or we weren't going to be closer to this vaccine as we have been in the last several days versus when we put some of those trades on several weeks ago. So in my mind, that's where a lot of the opportunity still remains. I agree with, Rob and Sylvia, that there is a lot of good opportunity in tech. That is a good place to stay. But for some good risk capital here, you've got to look at travel and hospitality. We've talked about Southwest Airlines too, Charles. We still own that one as well.
All right, and I took profits on mine, but I may get back in. Rob, real quick, just give us one or two ideas that you're really focused on right now. Okay, Rob can't hear me, so he's done. Rob, Scott, Sylvia, I want to make sure I pronounce your firm correctly. It's Direction Investments. You're the managing director. You did fantastic on your first time on the show, so hopefully you'll come back. Meanwhile, folks, coming up, New York Governor...